Okay, so where we left this last night was that the unit worked, basically. Kind of made some sounds, weren't all that concerning. And then I tested it earlier this afternoon, and that's all it wants to do now. It won't boot any games. So that limit switch has to come out. I think basically just, wiggling it a little bit made it work a little, and I don't think that's not going to work for me. I can't be taking this damn thing apart so much. So let's get cooking. Also, I dicked with the white balance because I obviously don't have enough light for the camera to make this look too incredibly great. So, also I'm still at 720p because I haven't responded back to Elgato to figure out what the fuck is wrong with my encoder, but whatever. Also, I looked at the technical drawing, or not technical drawings, the service manual for the Sega CD. Turns out that pot that I turned should be left alone because I don't have a scope or any way of actually setting it up properly. So today I learned. Hate this. It's how you lose screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hallelujah. Okay, so. What we are concerned with is just the drive unit, or the laser unit, or whatever the fuck they want to call it, I don't remember. And in particular, let me see if I can get it in here. The limit switch. So, what's happening is, what the motor does when it turns on is it moves the laser all the way towards the spindle, like I am doing right now. It just keeps turning this motor until it reaches the end, or a timer goes off. That's how it knows it's reset back to, 0. Let's say this is 0. So you might turn the console off with it there. It doesn't know where it's at, so what it has to do, it can precisely move this to any position along the whatever the fuck this is called, the thing that goes back and forth along the bar. It can position itself very precisely anywhere along that the carrier, but it has to know where it's at in order to do that, because it has to know how many turns it needs to do. So the way it does that is it just operates the motor going this way until it hits a switch. Well, the switch is right here. It's this. It's this right here. That's the switch. That's the limit switch. So if you look at it right now, if I crank up the light a little bit more, see that it's pushed over. And also, I'm being very careful not to put my hand on the lens because these things are not common. It's kind of a bitch to replace. You see, like, it hits it and then it makes contact. It just knocks it over. So, since I have access to the service manual, because somebody graciously scanned the damn thing in, I have a part number for this. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore, so I can't just replace it. Instead, hold on. God damn it. Now I have to read it on my phone because it didn't show that way. So what happens is it hits that limit switch and they don't make it anymore. So I have to try to, number one, see if I can repair the existing limit switch, because it's like the contacts on the inside when they make or break, they make or break or whatever, they're made out of, those contacts are brass, which is more resilient to flexing than most metals. Like my tweezers here are made out of steel, and eventually if you were to do this enough times, they would just break. And you can do the same thing with a paper clip. Oh Lord. Okay, so sorry about that. Beauty of live streaming, right? So basically, I've got to get this fucking thing out, and not the cap's probably fine. I've got to get this out, and soak it and see if I can get the brass to not be tarnished, or clean it up some other way. Like I said, because they don't make these anymore, or at least I don't think they make them anymore. It's kind of not. I just don't know what kind of switch I'd replace this with, because like a typical limit switch now is just like a button, like it slides in and then it just presses. It's a little square thing, kind of like a lighter almost, because it's the best illustrative thing I have. It's got a button on one end, and it's just the thing comes in and pokes the button. That's all. That's how most of these switches are nowadays, and unfortunately, it's just super hard to get. Super hard to get any of these anymore because they don't make them. I haven't made them in a long time. So, what are we going to do? We're going to pull this out, and we do that as we desolder it. And I know that it's these two pins right here. I'll probably zoom in while I solder it, so it's even easier. And because I'm paranoid, I'm pulling the ribbon out because I don't want to burn it. You can burn most of everything else and it not cause any kind of pain in the ass for me. But if I burn the ribbon, I'm kind of fucked. So, the other thing is I noticed there's some electrolyte on these chips. It's kind of hard to tell, but like you see, it's kind of got some shmoo on it. It's not a coating because it's not applied uniformly to the board. It's just applied to the chips, so we may have some leaky capacitors somewhere. It seems to work fine, but it needs to be on for a few hours before you can kind of diagnose that, especially if the caps look fine, which they do. So, the other thing is, I'm not really sure if not really sure if I can get this out just by desoldering it. I hope I can, because I don't want to take this apart. That sounds completely miserable to me. So, I'm going to just try desoldering it. And we'll see how that goes. So to do that, what we need is soldering iron and some solder wick. I use the kind I got from Radio Shack forever ago. 5 meters seems to be a fuck ton because I have a hell of a lot of this left. So, first step is we're gonna find our side cutters and we're gonna, get rid of the stuff at the end where it's like not gonna work to desolder. And we're gonna carefully put that in our trash or something. Soldering iron, which already has solder on it somehow. Maybe it's not solder, maybe I just stuck it in the thing wrong. Yeah, it seems to be the case. So, I've had the soldering iron turned on for a few minutes and it's heated up already. So, don't need a hot air station or anything fancy. You just need some solder wick, a decent soldering iron, and a tip that allows you to spread the temperature out across the wick and the thing pretty evenly. The wick and the pin, rather. Kind of burning the board, aren't they? This is a little challenging because there's plastic. Okay, so either I fucked it, or I see. There are. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer to the camera here without burning my LCD. There's some pins here and on the other side. So there's like a total of 4 little plastic pins. That's what I burnt. And the board slightly because I've got the temperature of my iron up way too goddamn high. So let's turn that down just a hair. The other thing you don't do is you definitely do not drag the wick once you've got the pad heated up, or else you are going to cause yourself a lot of trouble. Like you might rip up the pad, and you never want to do that. Yuck. I melted the shit out of that. Does it come out? So let me get this up a little bit closer because I can't quite figure out what's going on here. And I don't have a microscope. And my axes are different here. Piece of shit. Come on. Focus. There we go. I need to go this way. There we go. What in the hell is that in the middle? Well, we'll see if it gives me any trouble getting it out. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm grabbing my cheap, extremely cheap tweezers here. I'm just using them to poke the thing through to see if there's anything that is mechanically holding this in other than the plastic. It seems like it's not. It just seems that it's a tight fit in it. That's the problem. Yeah, it's out. Okay. This is what the fucking thing looks like once you get it out. If I can manually focus it. There we go. Turn that funky light on. Here, I'll just do this. It'd be a lot easier if I can. Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is the switch once it's out, and you can see I did get the pins out. Like I got them desoldered, but there's this stupid bullshit plastic that had to come out. So whether or not that causes me trouble putting it back in and getting it to function as a switch is for me to be seen, but nothing that some hot glue can't fix. So, or some cyanoacrylate glue or whatever. And so what I'm trying to do is get a good look at this again because I don't have a microscope and my DSLR will have to work. Let's see, do I not have something to set the fucking thing on? It's not my hand. No, okay, no. Oh, dirt. Coming down. There we go. Shit. Set the lock on the tripod, dumbass. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. Turn that light up real bright. And move this somewhere where I can see it. Okay. So I can already see that there is quite a bit of tarnish on the top here. If I point at it, it'll probably be easier. So, Jesus, it's difficult. How do people do this for a living? So up here at the top, it's kinda hard to tell, but the very top of the very edge there at the top, it's kind of red. That's tarnish. Again, because these contacts are like made out of brass. In the middle there, which I don't know if I can get any closer, but whatever, we'll see. The son of a bitch, I didn't set that remotely tight enough. God damn. Come on. There we go. Hate this. My fucking monitor will not pick up the Elgato now. You piece of shit. Maybe if I cycle through the sources. I don't know what the deal is, but for whatever reason, my Samsung monitor just does not want to pick up the Elgato sometimes. Could it be that it needs to be reinitialized? No. Christ, this is annoying. Okay, well, there's limited utility of me not being able to see what the hell's going on. So that's fun. Maybe I can, well, huh. Okay, so it is. I guess I'm gonna go dunk this in some cup full of rubbing alcohol. Talk over here. I guess I'm gonna dump this into a cup full of rubbing alcohol and maybe see what happens, and then put this back in, hopefully. And maybe in the meantime, this fucking thing will start working correctly instead of telling me that I have no signal, even though it very clearly does. So, thanks for watching.